let's get right into it, Tyler. Let's give the people what they want to hear. What was the biggest surprise from round one so far for you?
I think I speak for pretty much everybody. Michael Penix going number 8 in the top 10. Michael Penix going to the Falcons was pretty alarming, I'd say, to most people. Now I understand the Falcons, I'd say, have a pretty good roster from an offensive standpoint. Obviously, having Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, made some offseason signings, and obviously they signed Kirk Cousins to $180 million deal. And all of a sudden they use their top 10 pick on a quarterback. And a quarterback is not necessarily the need that I thought that they would have been drafting. I don't think anybody would have. Saw a bunch of mocks having a couple of defensive linemen. Maybe you could have drafted another receiver, had a surplus of guys on that side of the ball, but drafting Michael Penix Jr. is a little bit questionable. Now, I get it. I think he was one of the better quarterbacks in college football last year. Was in the Heisman Trophy conversation. A lot of people should have thought that Penix should have won it over Jaden Daniels, who did go number 2 overall, and has had injuries in the past, but I don't feel like it should affect his draft stock. Obviously, it didn't because he went in the top 10, but for him to go to the Falcons wasn't really a team I thought he would go to, given the fact that the Falcons just signed a guy for $180 million, and that being in Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has signed lucrative contracts in the past, guaranteed contracts, that is. And I believe this contract, the first two years are fully guaranteed. So I don't know where there's like a clip going around showing the GM is like talking to Arthur Blank. I don't know if he's like explaining it to him, like saying this is going to be our guy going down the line. But yeah, I don't know if you use the top 10 pick, like a top 8 pick with a number 8 overall pick on a Michael Penix after you just gave a guy damn near $200 million. So it just doesn't make sense to anybody, really. I think Michael Penix is a baller. I would have liked to see him go to the Raiders. That's kind of where I was thinking he would go, given on how the draft was falling out. But you saw right after that, JJ goes 10 to the Vikings because the Vikings moved up. And then you see the Broncos didn't really have to move up and get anybody. They stayed patient at 12 and got Bo Nix, who I thought would have been like a second or third round pick.
So let's go one for one because I know we probably have a lot of the same ones. So let's just go one for one. So going back on the Michael Penix thing, like Toddy mentioned, signing Kirk Cousins to 4-year, $180 million, when you could have took a Roma Dunze, a Dallas Turner, a Lati Lulu. This wide receiver room relies around Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and they have had subpar performances. Drake London last year was 69 catches, 905 yards with 2 touchdowns. Kyle Pitts, 53 yards, 667 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The other 2 guys in that wide receiver room, Rondell Moore, 40 catches, 352 yards with 1 touchdown, and Kahidral Hodges with 14 catches, 232 yards, and 0 touchdowns. They could have gone so much more. Even on the bottom of the draft, it said needs. None of the needs said quarterback. You don't go out and make this kind of decision in the offseason to go get a Kirk Cousins and then draft his replacement. I saw on Twitter that he was kind of took him by surprise. You know, he wasn't surprised that a quarterback was going to be taken, but so early in the first round, I feel like we're in another Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love situation. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers by any means, but the Packers were ahead of their time. They understand that you have a great quarterback and they can only do so much. You know, with Kirk Cousins coming off of an Achilles, you would think they try to put O-linemen around him, some more weapons around him to make his job less easy or less hard. But now bringing in this controversy before the OTAs even start is going to be a hell of a show to watch. But besides that, Toddy, I know you mentioned Bo Nix. Do you have any other surprises?
I thought the Giants were going to trade up and get Drake May. There's, you know, like the day of the draft, you just hear all of these crazy, insane rumors. Like I saw a rumor that the Colts were going to try and trade up to get Marvin Harrison Jr. because his dad played for the Colts. And then you're seeing the Giants were going to trade up and try and get Malik Neighbors. But no, I kind of assumed that, the quarterbacks would go 1, 2, 3. That was pretty much what a lot of people would have thought. But I'd say like in the recent weeks, people were reporting that the Patriots were going to try and trade the number 3 overall pick, and May would end up falling. And I think I saw another report, I think it was from Diana Rossini, that the Giants were either going to trade up for Drake May or they were just going to stand put and get a receiver. And I think the first round kind of summed up the way that I thought it would be. I just didn't expect this many quarterbacks to go within the first 10 picks. And pretty much it being like the first half kind of just being all offensive guys, and the second half is starting to dwindle over to defensive guys. But I think it's been very eye-opening on the amount of, offensive guys going early versus the amount of defensive guys that a lot of people had high on their mock drafts, kind of getting bumped all the way down to the latter end of the first round. So, yeah, I think the team that you'd say won the first round or won the draft, I think it's the Chicago Bears.
Gotta be. It has to be, without a doubt. But another surprise, and I excuse me, Toddy, I was dealing with Blue, so you might have said this person already, but the Vikings trading up to 17 to take Dallas Turner. I thought, they were going to go all in and grab a quarterback, but they stayed put. They got their guy. But Dallas Turner is one of the best defensive players in this draft. Like Toddy mentioned, the first 13 picks were all offensive guys. So all the defensive talent was falling down the board. Vikings didn't panic, and they got their guy. Another surprise of the draft, like Toddy mentioned, Howie motherfucking Roseman. All day I'm sending stuff in the chat saying, we're trading up, we're getting our guy, Howie's making all these calls. Said, Howie, we not taking off defense. Howie, we not taking defense. Howie, we not taking defense. So, and as the things went on, people were true to their word, and we stick put, and we still got our cornerback one in Quinyon Mitchell. Toddy asked me before who I wanted. I was more of a Terrion Arnold's fan because being an Eagles fan, taking a non-Power 5 player in the first hasn't really worked out for us, with Carson Wentz. So I wanted to go with a big name school. So, we're going to swing at it, but he tested it as one of the best corners in the draft. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. I'm just really happy we didn't take Cooper DeJean. I'm all for, white cornerbacks, but we got a white safety and a white corner dog. We gotta mix it up here. It's funny because when, maybe 3 weeks ago, one of my friends sent me Cooper DeJean because it was in our mock draft, and he said, "What wide receiver is this?" No one thought it was a corner. So I just had to throw that out there.